This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
Oh, yes, it is the Subway to Shea podcast. Anthony Rivera here with you, talking about all the news and happenings surrounding that team from Queens, the New York Mets. Episode 151, live from the Subway to Shea studios in my office. If you're not doing so already, please look at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you're subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to catch all of the episodes of the Subway to Shea podcast. And you can check me out on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Subway to Shea, as well as my personal account at Ant Rivera 86 on X. And I don't know what's happening right now, but for some reason, the X portion or the Twitter portion of this is not being streamed, and it's saying that I need a premium account. I don't know what's happening right now with that. So we are just on YouTube right now at the moment. I'll have to figure that out at some point down the line, but I appreciate all of you that are in here right now joining me on this episode. It's been a long time coming for me and my guest today. It's Hector in Washington Heights, a.k.a. Blunt Thoughts, my guy here on the Subway to Shea podcast. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. How are you, brother, man? It's definitely been a long time. I like I said yesterday on my stream when you came on and put the invite again out in public. I'm like, man, I was starting to think you were scared to put me on. I'm going to behave, man. Have me on. Let's do this. But no, it's a pleasure to be on here. I've been looking forward to this. And like I told you behind the scenes, thank you, man. I appreciate it so much. And let's talk some fun baseball, man. I'm glad I'm here now. You know what? This is the perfect time. I mean, maybe you wanted a ranting Hector from Washington Heights and ranting Blunt Thoughts, but you may get that anyways. But this is great. This is great right here. Happy times. Happy times.
It is good times, especially considering the way this season started. The team starts off 0-5 on the year. They turned it around, had a good couple of weeks in April, and then things kind of fell apart in May. Turned it around in June to be one of the best teams in baseball, and I think they've had the best record in baseball since June 1st, if I am correct. But it's nice to see the Mets turn this season around. And I said, by the time we get to there's 2 points that I wanted the Mets to hit. One, by the time we got to the All-Star break, I wanted them to be 3 games above 500. Here we are at 3 games above 500, and I wanted them to be within a wild card spot. And look at this. They hold the 3rd wild card spot at the moment. Half a game ahead, a half game, I think, behind St. Louis, 3.5 games behind Atlanta, and a half game ahead of the Arizona Diamondbacks. National League East right now, not that much of thought put into it. 3rd place there, 12.5 games behind a Philly team that is super strong. Like I said, 49 and 46 at the moment. Before we continue to go on, I wanted to hit this up real quick because the Mets did make their draft pick at number 19. And it was from Oklahoma State. I think his name is Carson. Let me get that right. Carson Benj. He's a 2-way player. more bat first prospect, as Mike Mayer posts on here. And I think he went to the same school as Nolan McLean, who's another two-way prospect out of Oklahoma State. I honestly, and me and Hector talked about this off air, don't know too much about the prospects until they get closer and closer. Like Brandon Sproat, he's the new guy that we're all talking about, as hopefully he gets closer and closer to the major leagues. He pitched in the futures. He had a really good game in the futures. So we will talk about that probably later on down the line. Obviously, I talked to Joe DeMayo. I'm going to try to get him on the show just to even recap his top, prospects in the Mets system, because he's one of the best sources out there. And look, let's go back to the Mets at hand. And, they are, like I said, 49 and 46. That was one of the points I wanted to get to. And by the trade deadline, if this team was 5 games over 500 within maybe a game or 2 or 3 of the wild card, I was buying. And hopefully that's where we're at right now with this team. We'll get into the trade deadline as well. But Hector, your thoughts on what we've seen so far from this team and the turnaround we've gotten from them?
It's a roller coaster, right? Like we always say, that's what a baseball season is. It's a long roller coaster too, right? And honestly, in the first half of the season, I wasn't enjoying this roller coaster much, especially for that first month and maybe you want to say a week or two until they got into the middle of May and kind of started turning things around, but we still weren't too sure because, like I always say, you can't take 3 steps forward and then take 2 backwards or 4 backwards or 3 backwards. You can't match what you're doing. You got to take more forward than you do back. You got to take enough steps forward that maybe you have a little stumble, a little bump in the road, like you had when you got to Houston and you had won, 7 series in June, and then you lose that series and people are losing their mind. I'm like, no, this is just a little stumble. It's not even a step back. You know what I'm saying? And then I forget they did something after that I was like, okay, now we've taken a step back. But it's okay because we took about 5 or 6 forward. But I feel great right now. Like you said, I came into the season and I didn't put a number of wins on it. I didn't put like insane expectations on it. But what I kept telling people was, I don't give a damn what this front office is saying. Because if you really listen to them, they're talking about being competitive. Now, you can interpret it however you want. That's very loose, right? Oh, we're going to be competitive. Okay, I want to be a contender, damn it. I don't want to be competitive. I want to be a contender. And the whole offseason, you know me, I was making jokes about, low risk, high reward, and we weren't too happy or whatever the case may be. But they did what they did. And my stance was, listen, as long as I have the players that I have on this team, Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, Peter Alonso, Jeff McNeil, I know what he's become now, but coming in, Jeff McNeil, Edwin Diaz coming back, which, we didn't know what we're going to get, but still, these are enough guys to win. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are enough guys, like you said, to hang around 500, whatever that may be, whether it be a game under or a game or 2 over at the deadline. And I feel like if we did that, this front office and this ownership will go out there and do things to bolster the team. Now, people get scared when you say that because they think, oh my gosh, you want to trade prospects. You want to. No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm going to trust them to do what they do. I always say this, and before I get back to you, a good GM, a good president knows when to sell, when to buy, not only as a team, right, when you get to the deadline and, okay, what we're going to do, sell or buy, but also in your assets and what you have. So David Stearns, I have faith that he knows which of these guys to trade on hype and which guys to keep because he believes in. I'm going to trust him to do that. He hasn't blown anything yet. And I'm pretty sure we'll get into David Stearns and maybe report cards and all that stuff, and we'll expand on that. But that's how I feel right now so far. I feel good. I'm excited. I'm excited for the second half, and I'm excited. I think I'll let you go. I could go on forever.
No. Yeah. There's a reason for this excitement right now. And it was something that I don't think we could have foreseen coming. If we were truly honest with each other, we could have foreseen it in May, because what we saw in May of this year, we saw in June of last year. And that pretty much derailed the entire season.
Mhm.
The Mets had even made a push to come back last season. Verlander got healthy. They started playing well. And just like that, they traded David Robertson. They traded Scherzer. They traded Verlander. And that was it. And even with all those trades that happened, you throw in the Rafael Ortegas of the world, the Arruizes, Jonathan
Ruiz.
Arruizes of the world.
I forgot
And
about those
this
guys.
team somehow still was able to play 500 baseball from the time of the trade deadline till the end of the season. It didn't look like that. It didn't feel like that, but they somehow did that. If you just go and look at the schedules and stuff, and looking at this year, starting off in with March and April, 15 and 14. Like I still print out schedules. Like I wish they handed out those little paper schedules like they used to at the beginning of the season. They don't do that anymore, but I still print out mine. March and April, 15 and 14. May, awful, 9 and 19, which
Oh
put
my
them
gosh.
11 games under 500, 24 and 33. Then in June, they went 16 and 8, where came back to a game under 500 40 and 41. And then this month, they've been 9 and 5, capping it off with a 5-1 homestand. I want to get your thoughts on this homestand that just passed. They swept the Washington Nationals, and they took 2 out of 3 from Colorado, but it wasn't supposed to be such hard fought, I thought, against this Colorado Rockies team. And it was tough. It was tough. They bombarded us with a barrage of home runs. That team has got a lot of power in it, and a lot of it has to do with this bullpen. And Jose Quintana got lit up today. So what were your thoughts on the homestand in just its entirety? Fans showed out to me. I was there on Tuesday. I think you were there on Tuesday too, but I don't know if we weren't able to
Yes.
connect then.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. I was honestly, I was upset when I saw after the fact that you would took a picture with Top, with our buddy Top, and I'm like, geez, I was a section over, but I had gone to get something to eat. It was that. Oh yes, I was $5 Tuesday. Oh my gosh, dude, I don't usually eat this stuff, right? $5 Tuesday. Okay, let me go have me a pretzel. I was with a buddy. We're walking around. He's looking for something else. We end up there was lines everywhere. It took us 2 innings and a half, almost 3 innings. By the end of by the time I got to the front of the line, I was hangry. I ended up getting a hot dog, pretzel, stuff that I didn't even want to get. And that's probably when I missed you because Top had actually come over. I forgot that he said that. He actually came over. I guess he heard me screaming, If you're 2 or 3 sections close to me, you'll hear me screaming. So he had come over and spent about an inning and a half there. Then yeah. So I was upset when I saw that, like, man, I missed Ann again. We always seem to miss each other when we're at these games, but at least we've met though. We have met in person at the QBC and all that. But we got to get together at a game. We got to get together at a game.
absolutely.
As
Hopefully
far
that
as
Brave
the
series. Hoping
yes,
that
yes.
Brave series that we can, chat it up. You guys were having a whole lot of fun.
Oh man, that was a
This
blast.
past weekend. I was a Friday night. You guys were. I wish I was there for that game. That looked like a lot of fun.
No, yeah, that was a blast, and that's another thing too. Like you said, there was a good crowd both nights, but both nights kind of promotions, so you kind of wonder a little bit. But I'm confident that as this team wins, our fans will show out. They'll start coming out. And these guys need to wake up and open more concessions, but that's a whole different story. As far as the homestand, I feel good. I feel good about it. Listen, I'm greedy. I'm greedy. So did I want to go 6-0 once we are 5-0? Absolutely. Absolutely. Have there has there been more frustration than I like in these games? Absolutely. Did I see Edwin Diaz on Friday when I wanted no part of seeing Edwin Diaz? Absolutely. We're sitting there, and shout out to Skills, Miss Skills, from X. She's there, she's part of the group, and she's like, "Oh, I haven't gotten to see the new light show, the new entrance with Edwin Diaz." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, girl, not tonight." It's what was it, 6-0, 7-0, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
5, 6th inning, 7th inning. I'm like, no, I don't want to see Edwin Diaz at this point. And of course, we know what happened little by little. And then Jake Diekman said, hold my beer. I got you, Skills. Boom. And here comes Edwin Diaz. So that's a little frustrating. But you know what? I don't lose my mind over it. And we know what the problem is.
Yeah.
You said it. It's the bullpen. The starting pitching needs to be a little bit more consistent. I think they can be. But the bullpen, that worries me. And you know, listen, another thing is, like I said before, I'm confident that David Stearns is out there trying to make moves. It's not as easy as we think. It's not as easy as I want it to be. I can talk to him, I'm blue in the face. I can say, I go like this. Go. You actually got to find a partner that wants to do it. You know what I'm saying? But we see he's trying to do something. He brings that Phil Maton dude for money or cash considerations, whatever it turns out to be. You know, that's the move that can be made right now. We can ridicule it if we want to. How many other teams are making trades right now for relievers? I don't see all the moves going on all over the place. So am I going to kill this dude? No. They bring up Jose Buto, threw him in the bullpen, how we were screaming. Sometimes, also, I think we want them to do things like reactionary, right? And they have to be more practical about how they do things and make sure of what they're doing. You can't just bring a guy and just throw him in them. Even now, you see where they still handling them with care and every 3 or 4 days, at least for Buto, because, you know, he's still a guy that was a starter. You don't just be, people think, oh, now you're throwing shorter outings so you can pitch every day. No, it doesn't work like that. Your arm is not conditioned that way. You have to not condition your arm to be able to do that. So all of those things. Now, I'll say this. That's why I'm surprised, like, even with a guy like McGill, I don't know how you feel about McGill, but a lot of us feel like McGill should be turned into a reliever. And when he went down now, I was hoping maybe they start doing that transition, but he's still starting in down there in the minors. So, you know, I wonder what's going on with that. But no, I feel good, man. I feel good. I was having some fun with a couple of, a couple of jackasses, which and listen, one of them is Bobby, who I got love for, man. People probably see it. I know Bobby's not popular. Bobby Wallace is not popular on X. I talk to everybody. I don't care because I lose my mind. I lose my mind. You know what I'm saying? Blunt thoughts. It's not what people think. Blunt thoughts is because I lose my mind. You know what I'm saying? And I react and I say what I'm feeling at the moment. We were talking about this season. In May, middle of May, like you said, I was ready to sell everybody. I was sick. I kept posting. I hate this team. This team makes me sick. Throw up emojis, nauseous emojis, all of this nonsense, like a little kid. Because I am a little kid when it comes to this stuff. Yes, I am. Whatever. Have fun. You know, I get just as frustrated as anybody. But I also got to the point, like I said, no, there's no way. And around Memorial Day weekend, I did a couple of them. I did my own thing. I did, you know, the round table that we do. And I was like, you know what? I even did a post-game space where I said, enough. If you're coming in here into a post-game space, I don't want to hear nothing about the trade deadline. I don't want to hear about next offseason. I don't want to hear about Peter Lazo's. I don't want to hear about none of that crap. This ownership told you, and this president told you that they still expect to make the playoffs. These players are telling you that they expect to make the playoffs. And I'm upset because I expect them to be better. And it's Memorial Day weekend. No, save my season. I was begging these guys, save my season. You're making me sick. But it's because I think you guys can be better. And here we are. It took Grimace. I don't know how you felt when you saw that ad. Blunt thoughts. I don't freaking lie. When I saw that, I think somebody tagged me. I think I was on the way to the game at the game. Maybe I got there late. I don't. And one of these trolls, JoJo, the Braves fan, I think it was the one, that first person that brought it to light. Oh, Hector, you out there to see Grimace? I'm like, I don't even know who the hell is Grimace. Honestly, I didn't even remember who the hell Grimace was. And then I see this big purple blob, and this guy threw out the first pitch. Whatever. You know what I thought? And I even posted it. Great. This is perfect. This is perfect. Because every time I watched this team at that point, I was grimacing. But guess what? Grimace? Look at this. Grimace has me looking like the Joker now with this team. And it doesn't mean that I don't get frustrated. It doesn't mean that I expect the World Series. It doesn't mean that I love this bullpen. And no. Peter Alonso's still pissing me off. Jeff McNeil has let me down. You know, I want Alvarez to be better, even though I love him. He can be better. Edwin Diaz needs to get his head out of his butt and gain his confidence back. Like, I still feel like this about it. But they've also shown me that they can play the way that I expected them to. That's how I
Yeah.
feel. Damn, I'm
No,
long-winded.
look,
I'm sorry.
you look at and people say, stop saying this phrase, but you look at the back of the baseball card,
Yeah, I don't
and
really like
this
that phrase
team,
either.
yeah, this team is a talented team. They weren't supposed to be as bad as they were in May. And when it happens for the second straight year in a row, after getting into the playoffs and quickly getting taken out after that end of the season in 2022, you start to wonder, is this the right crop of players to be put together? Are they the right mixture of players? And at a certain point, it just didn't seem like that. And then the whole thing with Grimace happens and OMG, all these factors, which we're going to get into later on in the show, happens. And this team is totally different right now. And, to the fact where we have the tagline of Queens baseball. I mean, you look at what's happening over across town, didn't end too well today. People are losing their minds, and you got a team that's in, a better record than the Mets do. But the good vibes and the good feelings right now are all the way in Queens. So it's nice to be at a good point in the season. And I don't like you, I don't like to look at the trade deadline. I don't want to hear about Pete Alonso and what they're going to do with him. That to me doesn't happen until July. And now that we are getting closer and closer to that trade deadline, now we start examining the games closer. Now we start seeing, is this the right group to be put together? And it just seems like, even with what Brandon Nimmo said a couple of days ago, that, he talked to David Stearns and he's like, you got to buy into this team. You heard him on SNY after the game was over in the post game. You got to buy into this team. And like they're having you starting to believe to buy into this team. Now, we'll get into the bullpen and what you experienced on Friday, we even experienced on Tuesday. Same thing.
Yeah.
Thing. And now, like, I'm not going to say that this stuff is never going to happen. But the fact that it happens at least 2 to 3 times a week is a problem. And that needs to be solved. The bullpen doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect down the line. But they have to figure out a point where most of the pitchers are ineffective. And it's a lot of the veterans is the problem. You look at this bullpen right now, and, Edwin Diaz, you mentioned, up and down season. Obviously, you throw in the injury that he had. You throw in the suspension that came as well, and that really hurt the Mets in that, 10-game span. And you look at the rest of what's happened. Lost for the season, Brooks Raley and Drew Smith, big names there. Obviously, Brooks Raley is the big one. Ineffective. We talked about the veterans. Jake Diekman has been ineffective as our only lefty in the pen. He's making Joely Rodriguez look like Pedro Feliciano.
Oh my God.
You got Adam Ottavino.
Smelly Joely. I remember somebody called him that in the space.
You got Adam Ottavino. I don't know what has happened to him. 2022, great season. 2023, I thought that he was put in the wrong position because of the injuries that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to be that, I guess, closer type role. It didn't work out. But now the fact that he's in a position where he doesn't have to do that, I mean, the guy can barely get one out. Same thing with Jake Diekman. Like it's begging these guys to get 1 or 2 outs has been tough. And then you have another guy like Adrian Hauser, who goes from the rotation to the bullpen, and I have not been impressed from what I've seen from him. So that leads you to what is the heart and soul of this bullpen right now, and probably going to need more guys like this. And that's why Tyler McGill's a guy that can hopefully transition to this, is that multi-inning reliever like Jose Butto, who's probably right now my favorite pitcher in this staff right now, and Daniel Nunez as well. Those 2 guys have been lights out. They've been great pitching multiple innings. I just don't want them to get burnt out. And I almost forgot to add as well Reed Garrett, who, like, kill him all you want, and I've been on him too. I mean, the guy was our entire bullpen in April. I mean, with a .59 ERA, and he pitched, I think, over 15 innings in April. He was Jose Butto and Nunez combined for that first month. So I'm pretty sure he's pretty taxed and tired, and that's why he's on the IL. But hopefully he comes back. Hopefully Sean Reed Foley comes back as well. what are your thoughts on ways to fix this bullpen? Because the Mets acquired, you mentioned Phil Maton. They got him from Tampa Bay for cash or a player to be named later. He's already pitched 2 innings, gave up 1 earned run, 1 hit, which was a home run, and struck out 4. They DFA'd Joey Lucchesi, so he's gone now. And then they acquired a left-handed pitcher, Matt Gage, for cash considerations, and they stashed him in AAA. Career stats for him: 19 and 2/3 innings pitched, 20 strikeouts, and a 1.83 ERA. And that's between Toronto and Houston, but they got him from the Dodgers about a week ago. Maybe that's someone we see replace Jake Diekman. I know they have Danny Young up here as well. How are we fixing this bullpen, Heck?
Honestly, and like you said, man, that's the scary part right now, that unless we have Buto and Diaz available, I'm terrified. I don't trust anybody else. Ottavino, I keep begging Sal both privately and on X, and he ignores me on X, to take his ass back to BNNY. I don't want to see Ottavino no more. I haven't been a fan of Ottavino for a long time. Everybody knows what I call him. I'm going to respect your show, and I'm not going to call him that here. But I don't want to see Ottavino no more. Now watch him go on a crazy run, because that's what happens too. But I said I don't want to see guys anymore. They go on a run. So go ahead, Ottavino. At the end of the day, as long as you're wearing a jersey, I'm going to root for you. But in my opinion, the key to fixing this bullpen is Edwin Diaz. Is Edwin Diaz figuring it out and giving us probably not 2022 Edwin Diaz, but I sure as hell don't need 2019 Edwin Diaz. Somewhere in between. Give me maybe that 21 Edwin Diaz. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
maybe a little bit better. but that's the key, because if Edwin Diaz is able to come back and do his job, then we can move guys more into roles where they belong. Now, if Edwin Diaz is able to come back and be Edwin Diaz, Daniel Nunez is my setup guy. I was upset, but like I said, I react, I give opinions, I'm blunt, whatever. They have to do things at the right time, right? I was upset that they weren't pushing Daniel Nunez more into that setup closer role while Diaz was gone. Like, I feel like he should have been there a long time ago. But now he's there. And now I think that he's shown that he can handle that job, because I think it takes a certain temperament to be able to pitch in that 8th and 9th inning. So even a guy like Hauser, who's been good as a long man, even Reed Garrett started where Hauser is, right? Reed Garrett kind of started where Buto is right now, coming in them games that were hanging in the balance, 5th, 6th inning, even sometimes in the 4th inning, 1 out, coming in and holding it down 3-0 for us to be able to make a comeback, or holding it up 4-1, whatever the hell it is, and that's great. And you may be able to do that, but then when we ask you to get into that 8th and 9th inning, it's not the same thing. You don't have that pair of whats, you know what I'm saying, to be able to step in there and not give a damn. I think Daniel Nunez has that. I think Buto has that, but they don't want to make Buto just that. And to what you said before, I think if you bring up a Tyler McGill, and the guys were talking about it during the game today, Ron and Gary, like, how many of those guys can you really have? Even the Como and the girl, Nikki Ladro.
I think it's Latarulo or something. Nikki Latarulo.
Good luck, brother. Good luck. I'm not trying that. No offense, Nikki. I'm not, I just don't want to butcher your name. Like she's watching. If we're lucky, they're all watching. Now I lost my train of thought for playing games. No, so they were talking about can you really have multiple long men in the bullpen? And they were just talking about Hauser and Buto, you know what I'm saying? And a 6-man rotation. But no, I think the key to fixing the bullpen is Edwin Diaz being Edwin Diaz, the better version of Edwin Diaz, and allowing guys to fall into roles. Sean Reed Foley, who I have a bone to pick with. Guys, like I said, I'm like a little kid, right? And I have certain friends that I've met at the games or whatever. Shout out to my homegirl Jess and her mom Don. I love them ladies. So I hang out with them. I met them. I used to move my seats around. I don't have my season tickets right now. I used to move them around my 20-game package. One of them. I used to have 40, 220 Saturday and a weekday. And the Saturday I would move around. 1 year I sat next to them, buddies ever since like 2016. They like to hang out in the players lot, right? So I go hang out with them. And this guy, Sean Reed Foley, walks behind us, the auxiliary lot or whatever the hell you want to call it, across from the players that would the wives sometimes leave their cars. I'm the only one that notices. I'm back there doing my thing, whatever. Hey, Sean, good job, man. Looking forward to having you back. Get better. I might as well have been talking to a damn wall, bro. What? I'm even whispering because I don't want to exploit you to the peoples. And I don't want you to get you bombarded. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's with the family. Comes back, same deal. Dude, his wife, because he left, his wife and the baby got in the car. He left with the older son. Cool kid. He's waving. The son is waving. His wife drove off and waves to me because she noticed that I said hi to her husband. And the husband says nothing. Come on, Reed Foley. But come back. God damn, I talk too much. We need Reed Foley to come back. Who's the other guy that's hurt that can maybe come back?
It's just him and Reed Garrett right now.
Reed Garrett, yeah, the other guys, man. Listen, as much as I hate Drew Smith, hate is a strong word. As much as I dislike Drew Smith, we miss that guy. And obviously, we miss Brooks Raley. But no, man, Edwin Diaz is the key. And then we'll see what Stearns is able to cook up. And if they're not able to cook anything up with deals, which I think they will, then we'll see what they do with guys in the minors. Maybe, like you mentioned, Brandon Sproat comes up. And I don't know if you mentioned that behind the scenes or on the thing, but, we saw that they asked them at the Futures game, how do you feel about coming in? I found that kind of odd that the media asked them that, but whatever. But let me ask you something, Anke, that you mentioned before I forget. Because I had kind of mixed feelings about this. Sorry, guys, I'm crazy. How do you feel about the whole Nimmo being so vocal? And I don't mind them saying, like, yeah, we need help. We want this team to get better. I really don't mind that. I actually appreciate that. But then, like, yeah, the being in communication with the front office and ownership, and like, I don't mind ownership in the front office getting input from players. I don't. At the same time, do what you got to do. I don't need LeBron James. I hate that crap. I don't need a player running my team. And I don't think that's what's happening, but it just made me a little bit uncomfortable when I heard that line of talking. Not the whole, like, yeah, we want help, we feel good, but we feel like we need help. I'm with that. I appreciate that. But the whole, like, yeah, when they come talk to me, I'll tell them this, or yeah, I'm gonna tell them that. Like, huh?
I think that I definitely did not see that before, especially with the previous regime, the Wilpons. I don't remember ever seeing any player do anything in that sort of fashion, being in line with the front office like that. You could even go back to Lindor 2021 trade deadline, bringing in Javi Baez and, his feelings with not getting rid of Buck and all that stuff and everything that has happened in between, with this team. But it really does feel like Lindor and Nimmo are kind of leading the charge on this team in more the ways than one, right? I mean, on the field, off the field. So whether it's them, buying dinner for the entire team on a road trip or talking to the front office, I feel like they are in tune. We've never really seen that much in baseball, as you mentioned. Basketball does that a lot. A lot of teams are doing that where the players are kind of in control, right? I mean, in basketball, that's what it feels like. They're kind of their own GMs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't see that much in baseball, and maybe they asked for input and maybe just came up in a casual conversation. And he just said, I still believe in this team, which, if it was in a different direction, maybe I'd be a little more concerned. But the fact that he believes, in this team that much, they're only 3 games over 500. They haven't really cracked the code yet on making this team, even better than it should be. But the fact that he is all in on buying, I kind of think that represents the entire team, right? Like, I feel like the entire team is now in tune with the whole situation. And hopefully that continues along there. And the Mets get some pieces in here for the bullpen. Like you said, if they don't, I mean, obviously Tyler McGill's one of the names. You mentioned Brandon Sproat already. He's 6-1 this season, 1.71 ERA. He's got 85 strikeouts in 73 and 2/3 innings pitched. That's pretty good. I don't know why they asked him at the Futures game. Why did they ask him if he could be a reliever? But this is something that I've been wanting to see for a while. I mean, you look at other teams that have been successful in converting their relievers into starters back to, like, hate to always bring this guy up, but Adam Wainwright, right? I mean, starter, they put him in the bullpen because Jason Isringhausen couldn't close anymore. And he helped lead the team to a World Series by just being a closer. And then he converts and becomes almost a Hall of Fame pitcher, if not a Hall of Fame pitcher. Right? I mean, I don't know why the Mets don't do this. They should be doing this.
Shout out to my buddy Jack, who drove me crazy with that idea all the time. He's always talking about the same thing, and he also brings out Wainwright. So if you're watching Jack, here's your shout out, brother. He's always talking about the same thing. And listen, maybe we'll see that. And maybe now with these guys in charge, with Stearns in charge, we start seeing more of those proactive moves by the Mets. Like, I feel like the Mets, I talk about not being reactionary, right? But I feel like in a lot of ways, the Mets are reactionary. But let me just clear something up, and real quick, because I just want guys to understand. I'm not saying that I mind Nimmo showing confidence in the team. I love that. I appreciate that. It's just the connection to the front office, and
we haven't seen it before. Let's be honest.
But like you said, though, also it seems like it's not like he's knocking the door down. I'm coming in with my suggestion. The ownership seems to have opened the door to him and Lindor and maybe a couple of other guys. And yes, as somebody mentioned here, it shows that Nimmo's a leader. Absolutely. Oh, my guy Ortiz. Yeah, absolutely. Nimmo's a leader. And I've been saying for a long time, I feel like Nimmo could be a leader on this team and could be a captain on this team. And, some people disagreed. But I always felt like, he has to grow into it. And I think he's finally going into it. And he's not the only one. It's along with Lindor. They're the co-leaders. They're the co-captains. Forget about Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is just whatever. Those two guys are the leaders. And then this other type of leadership that I can't wait till we get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to shout out to the chat here.
Yes.
I want to just say I do see your comments. If you're on YouTube, I see your comments. I don't know what has happened where the feed is not picking up on YouTube. It says I need, I guess, the premium account for X. I don't know if that's something new that just happened. But last episode, I was able to play the show on X Twitter. Now I can't. So I don't know if I got to get the blue check mark or whatever. But I'm glad that you guys are here. So let me just shout out to somebody. Duran Rivera in the house. Yes, like and subscribe to Blunt Thoughts. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube to him as well. And at HHeck13.
You know better than me. But yeah, I think that's the one on X. Yes. Don't ask me what it is on YouTube because I still can't figure it out.
I know it's Blunt Thoughts on YouTube, but make sure you're subscribing there. Make sure you're subscribing to Subway to Shea as well. Carlos Ramos in the house saying, trust Stearns, trust the process. Remember the bigger picture. He's not building a one-year team. He's building a perennial winner. There's still work to be done. Just keep that in mind for the deadline. Yeah, and so the Mets might come into this not only buying, they could be selling some pieces. So we're definitely going to get into what could happen at the trade deadline. Maureen in here saying the Brave series will define who we are. Have to at least split. I totally agree with that. Again. Yeah.
That gives me 2002 the Braves. All you kept hearing was the Braves series. All you got to do is win one. All you got to do is win one in September against the Braves. Hector. All you got to do is win one. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Just like, Carlos, you my dude. Don't curse at me. I hate trust the process. I hate that phrase. I can't stand that phrase. Like I said, I'm gonna trust in David Stearns until he shows me not to trust him. He hasn't screwed up a deadline yet. Even his preseason was pretty damn good if you look back at it now. So
yeah,
but yeah, trust the process.
Yeah, shout out everybody in this chat right now. Daniel Caps, Patty's in here. All of you, Shea Parking Lot in the house, Queens Baseball for sure. I want to go back to something Patty said. The bullpen will be fixed. Or is it? The bullpen will be fixed. I think when Senga comes back, Budo will stay and someone has to go, probably Diekman. So right now, did they bring back Orsi? That's only because David Peterson. So once David Peterson comes back, Orsi will go down. But when Senga comes up here, obviously Budo's not going anywhere. Carlos Mendoza said that already. He's going to be out of the bullpen at this moment in time. He's not going anywhere. And, you look at Kodai Senga getting ready to, make his return here. And right now, he pitched in Syracuse today versus Scranton Wilkes-Barre. 4 2/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So far in his rehab, 10 innings pitched, only he's given up that 1 run and has 12 strikeouts. What do you do, Hector, with this rotation once Kodai Senga returns?
That's a good question because we know that they probably prefer to go the 6-man route, right? Just because, that's just how those guys are over there. Him coming now back from the injury, she probably want to give him extra time anyways. I was actually trying to think today, is there any ways to keep him on that 6-day rotation or whatever and still use a 5-man some way, somehow? But I don't think that you can, especially if there's no days off, which I heard them saying, again, we're going to go through a stretch where there's no days off. So you almost have to use that 6-man. I don't know. That's one that you got me. I don't know what the heck they're going to do. I really don't.
Even with Daniel Cap saying still don't understand them keeping Diekman and DFAing Joey Fuego. I feel like they were never really in on Joey Lucchesi.
Yeah,
it just didn't feel like it was the right mesh. I don't know. Every time he got a start, they sent him back down.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. I thought maybe he could come out of the bullpen. Maybe he could spot start, but they didn't want him. Shea Parking Lot in Budo, we trust this is true. Love Jose Budo. He's just that dog right now. And, you hear that a lot, but he really has been killing it.
No, yeah. But listen, even Diekman, right, who we all keep saying DFA him, and he's no good. But unless Danny Young emerges as a lefty, a viable lefty, we need Diekman to figure the hell out. Because he's the only lefty we have in the bullpen. And I know it's not the age of lefty matchup and all of that nonsense anymore, but you still need to have a lefty in there. You know what I'm saying? So I know we want to get rid of him, but unless we got another left-hander that we can put in there, or maybe we have someone that's good against lefty-righty and it doesn't matter. And I know the Mets traditionally, I don't know. But yeah, that's Danny Young is going to figure it out and be that lefty guy. I don't know that we can just keep saying, just get rid of Diekman. No, Diekman, please figure it out, man. Figure it out. I don't know how he will. And I'm always leery about these guys that come from the Rays, for whatever reason, just the Rays know how to figure these pitchers out,
Pick them up and drop them. They know how to rotate these players in and out of the organization to where they're sustainable. And that actually might be something the Mets need to start adopting. And that comes with players that a lot of us know and love, and some that definitely need to go. Like the Mets may need to do that to keep a sustained winner in place, when it comes time for the trade deadline and in time for the future as well. When I look at this rotation, obviously Kodai Senga in there, Jose Quintana, even though he had a frustrating start on Sunday. Sean Manaea has pitched well. Luis Severino, for the most part, has pitched well. And I don't want to say that I am concerned, but Christian Scott still's got a lot of way to go right now. So I don't want to, put 100% confidence in him at this moment in time, to where I know a lot of people were like, oh, just trade Severino or just trade Sean Manaea. Christian Scott will fill in. He's having a hard time, getting through 5 innings right now. And that's something that we don't need, especially when you got Sevy, Manaea, even Quintana, for the most part, they're starting to go 7 innings. And we're seeing, even with these guys going 7 innings, that the 6 outs that we need are still hard to get. That's the problem. And that's the
Yep.
frustration that we got.
And listen, trade Severino, extend Severino, re-sign Severino.
I
I don't
agree.
want to trade that guy. I keep saying it, and I've been saying it for a while now. I would look to extend him. He loves being here, obviously. He loves being in New York, and now he appears to love being a Met. I think he really feels at home. He got the whole beard going on. He's the Mr. OMG sign. And also, like, you can't count on all these young guys. Like you said, look at Christian Scott right now. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking, but I'm talking myself out of it too. Maybe we put Scott in the bullpen, right? Maybe we put Scott in the bullpen and bring Buto into the rotation. But do you really want to do that to Christian Scott, where he was already a reliever? You've transitioned him into a starter now. Do you want to send him back there with still bring him back to a starter, or do you send him back to being a reliever and keep, like, you know what I mean? And it's still too early to talk about any of that stuff. But even right now in his development, is that something that you really want to do to him, or do you say, you know what, you're just not ready? You showed flashes, you came out with a little bang, but you're just not ready. Go back to the minors and we'll try somebody else. You know, we're talking about Sproul coming up as a reliever. Maybe he comes up as a starter. I don't know. But no, I don't want to trade Severino. Now, I'm not one of these people though that is totally opposed. I don't want to call it a strength, but a position of depth, I guess, in the rotation, because we have a few names that are starters, right? If you include McGill and Senga coming back, and even Buto, and some of those young guys, I'm not someone that's totally opposed to maybe moving to Quintana, and for whatever, whether it be a bullpen, I don't know. So, like, when they talk about that, I'm not someone who loses their mind over it. But yeah, like that's one spot that I'm not sure how the heck we're gonna figure it out. But and I guess you got to take into account the quality of the opponents also. But they've shown that they can stay in games. Sometimes, maybe we're trying to push them a little bit further than we should sometimes because of the bullpen's weaknesses. But maybe if we do tie in the bullpen, it'll make make the starters better. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. That's definitely the hope that happens. And just going into the stats of the rotation, or just actually as the pitching staff as a whole for the Mets, they're 22nd in ERA with 4.23 ERA. They have 829 strikeouts, which is top 10, but then they are second in the entire league. That's all of Major League Baseball in walks. 362 walks they have given up, and that has been a killer for this entire pitching staff. And look, the more you throw pitches, the more balls you throw, the more likely that your outing is going to be short. So if these guys that are starting are nibbling around the plate, which is, I think they're doing way too much. I see a lot of nibbling from the rotation. I see a lot of nibbling from the bullpen, to a point where they can't finish off batters. They'll get to 0-2 or 1-2, and they can't finish the batter off. A lot of foul balls, a lot of fouled off pitches, and they're not getting the strikeout. They're not getting any type of out. And that is a concern. I mean, I think that Jeremy Hefner has to, and I don't know how you feel about Jeremy Hefner. I'm not a big fan whatsoever.
Man, I just wrote down Hefner, right? Because I didn't know where you was going. I know you're not a fan. I'm not a fan. Many people aren't fans, right? I don't know if you watched the game today, right? I don't know if you watched the pregame. They were interviewing him in the pregame, and he was talking about Quintana and the fact that Quintana came to him and said, "Yo, enough of this crap. This is not working for me." And I forget exactly, but just the whole, damn, what was the wording they used? Oh my gosh. But this whole thing about trying to perfect pitches, and spin rate and all of this garbage. And he was like, "Yo, this is not working for me. I just need to pitch. I just whatever." And Hampton is talking about, "Oh, I'm upset that I didn't figure it out myself." that I'm watching him and I couldn't figure this out myself. And he really, dude, really like when I heard that, I'm like, no wonder, man, that our concerns with this guy is true. It's like this guy's there at the dugout, and people say sometimes like this guy looks like deer in the headlights, standing there in the dugout sometimes. And then he made some other comments that I missed, and my buddy highlighted. I could probably look at it. That it was like Pelly, my girl Patty. I love Patty. How can I say Pelly? Like Patty just said, that Hefner interview was very telling. It was telling me, this guy the F out of here. That's what it was telling me. Like he sounded horrible. Horrible. Yeah, the analytics. Quintana was like, this analytic stuff, like, oh, I forget all the, but yeah, no, man, like it was horrible. And if you didn't watch that and go back and watch, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh.
I'll definitely have to check it out because I just have not been a fan of his work. I don't like the fact that, and I don't know if you see on the scoreboard, they have about, I think, 4 or 5 times that they can make a mound visit. He barely uses his mound visits.
I said the same thing to some people. Yeah, I'm always looking at it, and it's like 3, 4 left in the 8th, 9th inning. Like, what the hell are we doing here?
He's never using them, and the fact that this team, the guy will, even Christian Scott's first start, that was one of the telling signs to me. Young kid, first start in the major leagues, gives up a couple of base hits, loads the bases, and he only ended up giving up 1 run. But the fact that you're not going out there, give him a breather for a second, even if it's just a few seconds, let him, gain his control back. Stops like this. I don't know. It just, he doesn't come to check on the pitchers. Everything is after the fact, after they give up 2 runs, after they give up this many runs. Dude, you got to be out there. Like, what? I don't know what he's doing. I know that a lot of people, you'll talk about how, the rotation is pitching better now. But to me, a lot of that has to do with Francisco Alvarez.
I think it's in spite of him. And I rarely, if ever, hear a pitcher talk about, I figured this out talking with Hef. It's always, I figured this out talking to this other pitcher while we was in this road trip. Or I figured this out talking to another guy in the what the hell is called? In the bullpen, or another rotation mate, or something like that. Oh, it's Francisco Alvarez. I trust Alvarez. It's never Hefner. I never hear them talking about Hef did this. Hef told me this. Hef, maybe at the end they'll throw him a little bone. Like, yeah, Hef. Or the coaches. They'll say the coaches. The coaches. He's not impacting anyone. He's just a guy that understands the numbers. Whatever. I keep saying that all the time. You can have all the labs, all the numbers, everything in the world. You can work as hard as you want. If you ain't doing it right, it doesn't matter. If you're not doing it right, it doesn't matter. And I think we've learned that even from this team when they had that team meeting where they all talked about their processes and they questioned the way they were working and preparing and all of that stuff. Because it doesn't matter. Listen, I said this story before. I think it was one of my things on the round table. I bought this little table, right, as I started getting ready to do this, trying to say, this is still a bootleg setup, right? I'm not as nice looking as you. I'm going to get there, though, and I'm gonna put some shelves, and I got some bobbleheads and stuff. Anyways, but I'm building this table, right? Your aunt, one leg I put on the wrong way. And because I put that leg the wrong way, I couldn't put the base on the bottom. It cost me about 45 minutes, man. And I was working hard as hell. But I was doing it wrong. I was sweating. I wanted to break the damn thing. Because I swore I did it right. And I kept trying to put the base and it's not fitting. Until somehow, some way, I realized, oh my gosh, I put the leg on wrong. I don't know how the hell it got on there, but I put it on wrong. As soon as I flipped it, done. So yeah, I was working hard, but I was working stupid. I was working wrong. So Jeremy Hefner may understand all of this stuff. Whatever he's doing to the guys is not translating as well, in my opinion. And yeah, some people will say, oh, but look, we done this, we done that. Yeah, coincides with Alvarez.
Yeah. And maybe he does work better with the younger pitchers, but the best example to me, if you remember in 2022, do you remember Jeremy Hefner being around anytime the pitchers, especially the starting rotation, was around each other. Chris Bassett, Scherzer, even DeGrom gathered around Taiwan Walker and Carlos Carrasco. Those 5 were off on their own. Jeremy Hefner never came out because they would never allow him out. This is a little bit different now. You don't have, a couple of star pitchers and a Hall of Famer. Now you got some more, mid-level type pitchers that might need some assistance or might need you to come out to the mound every so often. But I don't know. I've never bought into Jeremy Hefner, and the fact that he has been around for this long, it just drives me nuts. Maureen saying, never been a big fan of Hefner, too much analytics and not enough going by his gut. Also, Patty saying Sevy didn't mention Hefner either in his interview. So that's just like what you were saying earlier. And Carlos saying Hefner should be fired the day after the season ends. Enough's enough. He has survived because of the great job transitioning Senga from Japan, but that is not enough. His day is up. Well, we'll see what happens.
Even before that, I'm sorry, but even before that, they tried to give him credit for Diaz turnaround. He went to Puerto Rico. He worked with Diaz that offseason and blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, okay, one pitcher who had already shown flashes, who I thought it was more about confidence and figuring it out in his head. And I think if you listen to Diaz, that's more what happened than anything. You know what I'm saying? We're going to give him, and you talk about him and the young guys, and we also talk about these young guys struggling. We've been talking about McGill and Peterson struggling for years. We even heard earlier this year, was it Peterson and McGill that figured out something on the plane? Or maybe that one was Hefner. That he said he finally saw something, watching something on the plane. But I could have sworn that he said the player had kind of brought it up to him first, and then he kind of like it clicked. So no, I'm so done with that dude. So done with him. Anyway.
Yeah, I hear you on that. A couple of thoughts on the pitching staff. Rosie K saying, I suspect that the Mets are going to send down Scott to AAA at some point. It's possible, especially if the way he's pitching continues. You might see Christian Scott go down. And he's not been awful. It's just that he's just unable to go another, like he's not able to get through 5. And right now the Mets can't afford to have their starting rotation not be able to go 5 innings. I knew when he pitched on, what was it? Friday, I think. Was it, when did he pitch? Friday, Saturday? He pitched Saturday? When did Scott pitch?
Saturday, yeah, because I did it live.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. That was yesterday.
Yes,
Saturday.
yes, you're right. It was Saturday. Yeah, I knew when he pitched Saturday that this was going to be the, Jose Buto coming in, Nunez coming in. I knew because he just has struggled, getting through those later innings. And if he doesn't give you 5 or 6, you're going to have to go deep into the bullpen. And with the rest that Buto and Daniel Nunez were getting, I figured that he would come in there. So it's a possibility. Jeffrey Lawfer saying you can move Manaea to the bullpen for a stretch or a playoff run. It's, at first thought, I was like, you know what? Maybe Manaea's the guy, right? Manaea's pitched in the bullpen in San Francisco pretty well. That's how he kind of turned it around and got the Mets' interest in signing him. But if you look at Manaea over the last couple of starts, guy's going 7 deep now. And that's something that we need in the rotation. Like, you want to throw him in the bullpen. Maybe that's something if the team makes it to the playoffs and they have to cut the rotation shorter because it's a shorter series. Maybe that's something that you do. But right now, I'm not taking Sean Manaea out of the bullpen. I won't say it won't happen, but unless they get another piece in this rotation, I think Sean Manaea is staying in the rotation.
No, yeah, I mean, listen, I was part of the standing ovation he got the other day. And if he's gonna keep giving me stars like that, and again, I know the opponent, whatever, but yeah, I'm not thinking about moving him into the bullpen per se, honestly. Yeah, no. We need Diaz to figure it out, man. We need Diaz to figure out and get these guys in better spots. We get Reed Garrett back and maybe one of these young guys from the minors. But I think I want Mania where he is right now. I think I
Yeah.
want Mania where he is right now. And he's a guy that's willing and is able to go late into the games. And that's what you need. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not eager to pull that out of the rotation right now. I
Once
know it
again,
sounds good. He's done it before and all of that, but no.
totally agree with that. With Manai on that part. Once again, I'm here with Hector. Blunt Thoughts, my guy. Make sure you're checking him out on X at HHEC13 and on YouTube at Blunt Thoughts. Shout out to my guy Johnny Boy. Appreciate you tuning in. He always tunes into the Mets Evening Brew with me, Eddie Presti, Al Cintrone. So I appreciate you coming in on this podcast and joining us tonight, Sunday night. We're wrapping up the first half of the season. Not, technically the first half,
Right.
obviously a little bit later, but I always considered the All-Star break to be the first half of the season. I want to get into the offense with you, Hector, because it seems that they're alive and well, man. It didn't start off that way. That's for sure. It did not start off that way, but with Lindor and Brandon Nimmo leading the charge, as we mentioned earlier, it's been a lot different. And it was the swap that was needed, right? At the beginning of the season, Brandon Nimmo was the leadoff hitter. Lindor was batting second. He was batting third. I mean, I even think they had him batting fourth at some point. They put Nimmo third. We all thought he's racking up the RBIs, that maybe he's the guy that's got to be third. That didn't work out. We finally found the formula, and it's Lindor leading off, Brandon Nimmo batting second, and those two have just been outstanding for this team in leading the charge here. Hector, first off, what are your thoughts on what we've seen from the two of these guys? And I know you get on both the players as well. I mean, we all do, right? Like when we're seeing them, not especially the
I
start
hate
that Lindor
Lindor.
had.
I hate Lindor. That's what everybody says.
Especially
Whatever.
after the start we saw from Lindor. And all of the struggles we saw with Nimmo for a couple of weeks into the season, they've really turned it around to the point where we're all talking about them being snubbed at the All-Star game. So, how do you feel about what you've seen so far from these two guys?
I love it. I think it's phenomenal. And my whole thing with Lindor has always been like, dude, this is what I expect from you. This is what I need you to give us. Not because you'll never hear me, and I don't even want to say it now, so I'm not going to say it. You'll never hear me talk about that crap. I don't care about what they're getting paid. I don't. Yeah, when it comes to, when the time is to talk about the contract, we'll talk about the contract. When they're fighting for a contract and crap like that. But once they get the contract, I don't care. I'm part of paying for it anyways. People that think that we don't pay, you're idiots. If you go to games, you pay for cable, all of this nonsense that we do, you pay to stream, you're helping pay for these salaries. But whatever. But I don't care about what they're getting paid. I care about what you've shown me that you are. And Francisco Lindor has shown me that he was a better player than he was playing at the beginning of the season and the beginning of most seasons, And yeah, I was frustrated last year with him and all of them. I didn't care about his 30 last year. I didn't care about Pete's whatever the hell home runs he hit. I didn't even care about Nimmo's 20+ home runs, even though I love Nimmo. And I think Nimmo's been the best, most consistent Met for 3 years. I don't care what nobody says. I argue with anybody about that. He's been the most consistent guy for the last 3 years. Look at the numbers in 2022 and then look at them in 23. It's the same exact numbers. Yeah, the strikeouts went up a little bit, but so did the home runs. Everything else, on base percentage, everything is basically the same. And this year we already seen what he's done. But no, I'm loving what I'm seeing from those guys. And I was somebody that was going back to last year, right? Because to me, it's about how the team is constructed. And I'm always about how can I make this team better? Like if I'm involved, like if I'm a GM, I'm the manager. But when we're talking, I talk about how can we make this better? And that's how I give my opinions. So last season, when we're talking about protection for Pete and this and that, I was saying, you know what? Drop down Nimmo. Everybody's complaining about Nimmo's not a leadoff hitter no more. He doesn't steal bases.
I said that. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I'm like, drop him down. Make him piece protection. Not that I thought that Nimmo was some power hitter or anything like that. But let's see how that works. And then the offseason came, and I was still talking like, yo, maybe Nimmo should be dropped in the order. And I wasn't saying hit him third. I'm just saying drop him down. Make him hit behind Pete for now. And I always said, have him hit behind Pete. But I think eventually a guy like Alvarez or Vientos will graduate into that spot. And my guy, Marky Mark, my favorite Dominican right now. And if you don't believe he's Dominican, look it up. Argue with the wall. And nobody believes me when I say he's Dominican. And yeah, I'm claiming that 10% Dominican he is, whatever you want to call it. Just having fun at. But I always felt like one of those guys would eventually graduate to protect Pete. But so when they finally dropped Nimmo, I was happy. And at the same time, everybody's talking about, oh, Lindor's success in Cleveland most of the time was hitting leadoff. So I'm like, yo, let's try that out.
Yeah.
Why not try that out? These guys are struggling. You're moving all these other pieces around, and it seemed like maybe they were scared to move Lindor too much for a little bit there. You know, even going back to Buck. Like, they just didn't want to ruffle feathers with him. I don't know why. And they want to keep Nimmo there because of the on-base percentage. But listen, the dude is evolving into a different player. You know, and then they tried it, and they put him third. And, you know, they had Lindor leading off, and Lindor takes off. But Nimmo's struggling. And then they got Pete second, and I forget who was hitting. And I'm looking like, you know what? This is no good. And I even did a post like, this lineup needs one more adjustment. Pete is not a two-hitter. He's not a Mike Trout.
No.
He's not an Aaron Judge. Pete is not even a three-hitter because if you go back as old as I am, traditionally your best hitter hits third. So I don't want to see him there. Pete is just an airhead masher. You know where airhead mashers hit? Fourth. Put him there and put JD, who on this team is the best hitter, the best pound-for-pound hitter. Put him third. Put Nimmo two. I wrote this lineup out a few times. They finally did that. That's why I joke around sometimes. They watch Blunt Thoughts. Good job, guys. I know you watching, man. You saw me coming out here. I know you watch. Let me stop. You know, and they did that, and we've taken off. So I'm loving what those guys done. I'm loving everything. You said it. I'm loving everything they're doing. Their leadership, the dinners, the team meeting that they called. So people want to give JD credit. No. They called the team meeting. Lindor came to Nimmo and said, yo, I want to call a team meeting. Lindor said, let's do it. And then JD got involved. But I'm loving those guys. And yeah, listen, we could say maybe they should be at the All-Star game or whatever the case may be. I blame two things. I blame them for their start and the team's start overall, right?
Yeah.
I blame two things, and then I wonder about something else. And I blame most of the fans. I blame myself. I don't vote. I guess it's easy, right? When you think about it, it's easier than ever. Just pull out your phone. I hate logging in. I hate logging in. I hate having to remember passwords. So anything I got to do I got to log in, I stay away from. I try to keep all my apps open. I'm the worst. I'm horrible, right? And I don't vote. I used to, like when I was a kid, go to the stadium, punch the holes, grab as many ballots as possible, and throw them in a box. That's how I used to like that, you know? But I don't vote, so I blame myself. I also blame us as fans collectively, right? Because you know what we do, and we spend most of the time pitting our old players against each other, right? So if I say, yo, Francisco Lindor needs to be better, somebody comes at me, oh, but how about Pete? Don't give me that how about Pete shit. He needs to be better too. Now what? Oh, but Lindor did this, Pete doesn't do this. I don't give a shit. I need them both to be better. It's not Pete versus Lindor. It's not Pete versus Nimmo. It's them against everybody else. You know, so that's where I'm at with that. Maybe if we stop bickering and we all got together and said, you know what, we're gonna push our guys to the All-Star game and started a campaign like we started, like the Diamond Tails or whoever the hell ended up starting the standing ovation, right? And everybody got behind that. Let's all get behind one of our guys and push them to the All-Star game if we really believe in them. But instead, we rather argue about them. And then when they don't go in the All-Star game, we want to blame the commissioner's office. We want to blame everybody else but ourselves. And then I do wonder, though, I do wonder why someone, especially maybe someone like Lindor, is not as popular throughout baseball or whatever, throughout the fan bases, that he gets votes from other fan bases enough to be able to. Because, yeah, maybe some fan bases stuff the ballot box for some of theirs guys, but it's also because other fan bases vote for guys too. And I really don't want to hear the Latino thing with Lindor or anything like that. Because, man, come on, look at a guy like Tatis, who got caught cheating. He still gets votes.
Yeah.
So why are Mets players not popular out there enough to get votes from other fan bases? And why don't we vote, but then want to blame everybody else?
Yeah, it's definitely good questions to have when it comes to something like this. I remember the whole ballots and punching the holes. And now some people just don't want to do it online. You don't want to sign it. Like you said, don't want to sign in or any of that stuff. But look, what matters most too is at the end of the day, if these two guys are part of the solution in bringing a championship, at the end of the day, the all-star game is not going to mean diddly squat. So hopefully these guys continue to play well. I mean, look how far Francisco Lindor has come from the end of April till now, to the fact he's been playing so well that now he's batting .253. He's got 17 homers, 52 RBI. He's got 18 stolen bases. You look at Brandon Nimmo, 248, 16 homers, 63 RBIs. I think he leads the team in RBIs.
Unbelievable.
And yeah, like Rosie K saying, Nimmo and Lindor have become the leaders of this team.
Absolutely.
Shea Parking Lot saying Lindor leading off is the best move by Mendy so far. And then Deron Rivera saying, well, funny is that now that Nimmo is out of the leadoff spot, he actually is stealing more bases. Yeah. So he's got, I think, 8 on the season.
Right, yeah. Especially when they first moved him down to third. He was going nuts. I'm like, what the hell, Nimmo? What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, to the point that, because Nimmo's one of the guys that he always stops for the fans, but you got to wait like 2 hours after the game. I was even like, you know what? It's time for me to go have a conversation with Nimmo. Like, what are we doing, Nims? I've been pushing for you to be dropped in the order, and you're making me look like a fool. And now you're stealing bases like a maniac. Thankfully, I didn't go make a fool of myself, and he's turned it around.
Jose Lopez Moya brings up a good point, saying the problem with the All-Star break is that it might cool off a hard-hitting lineup hitter. So, I mean, it's possible. That's something that we hope doesn't happen with this team. We've seen it where the team gets into the All-Star break, they get off to a hot start, and then the All-Star break hits, they cool off. The opposite happens as well, right? Remember in 2019 where the team kind of went on this run after the All-Star break, almost, making it into the playoffs. And obviously that didn't happen because of, Edwin Diaz, but still almost had the opportunity to do that with a great run. But, we said leading the charge, Lindor and Nimmo. You mentioned the professional hitter himself, JD Martinez, has been good. But, I think what makes this lineup right now really good is something that has been lacking for a while. We're talking a couple years here. I always called the bottom of the lineup Death Valley for such a long time. And you got the kids, whether Francisco Alvarez or Mark Vientos are down in the lineup. Sometimes they switch them. Sometimes they move them up. Sometimes they move them down. They have been a huge part of this run. And I'd like to see more power from Francisco Alvarez. We haven't really seen it. But Mark Vientos, and you have been championing Mark Vientos the entire season. So kudos to you, Hector, for doing that. He's been a huge part of this team. Big hits, clutch hits. Not only him, Harrison Bader has been one of the most underrated signings, I think, just not only for this team, but just in baseball, what he's been able to do, all the clutch hits he's had. And obviously we can't talk about this lineup without talking about our second baseman. And I don't mean Jeff McNeil, although we'd like to see him turn it around. But, they are batting well despite of Jeff McNeil right now, although he had a big couple of days this weekend. But Jose Iglesias, man, 4 for 4 today. Anytime he's in the lineup, and you're talking offense, you're talking defense, he has been such a catalyst to the bottom of the lineup. Your thoughts on the bottom of the lineup, Hector, because we finally have something here. And I know we would like to see Jeff McNeil be a part of that. and get himself going, because I don't feel like he's going anywhere. I don't feel like he's going to be traded. I think he's going to be a part of this team way more than a guy like DJ Stewart. But, you look at the bottom of the lineup, and we actually have something going on right here.
Absolutely. I think the bottom of the lineup actually kept our season afloat, to be honest with you. And those games that we were winning in April and early May was mostly because of the bottom of the lineup. Most of the big hits that we got, if we got any, was the bottom of the lineup. It was Harrison Bader. And yes, for a portion of that, it was Alvarez and Vientos in the bottom. Even Marte hit 7, 8, 9 at some points. So you can consider him part of the lineup. But the Tyrone Taylors, even that dude, what's his name? Actually won a game for us in the bottom of the lineup that we got rid of. That second baseman. I forgot his name. Oh my gosh.
Not Wendell.
Yeah, that dude. That's
Joey
scrub. Yeah, even him, he helped us win a game as part of the bottom of the lineup. No, but the bottom of the lineup, the guys that stuck around, especially Beta. And I like the Beta and the Severino signings. I remember even posting when they both signed, and because I like the way that they spoke. You know what I'm saying? I like to listen to guys speak themselves, not what reporters are telling me, not what somebody else is saying. I like to listen to guys. And, sometimes I'm fooled like anybody, but I liked what these guys said. So I liked when Beta talked about, like, yo, I had to look at myself in the mirror. And I did that this off season. And I worked on this and I worked on that. I'm working on this. I'm working on that. I was like, okay, I like that. And you've already shown some flashes. Severino talked about, yo, besides the tip pitching, I recognized that I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing that. So I went and I spoke to someone about that, and I worked on that. And I'm like, okay, these are things. And I'm like, okay, I like Sevy. If he figures out the pitch tipping, I think it could be all right and stays healthy. And we see what he's done. But we're talking about the lineup here, no. And that's why I say that as much as I had fun in the offseason with David Stearns, when you look back at it, the moves that he made, most of them is what have us here. Had the returning core, which I went through the list before, held up the end of the bargain, maybe we're not here stretching and clawing to finally get 3 games over 500, game up on a third wild card, you know what I'm saying, and all of that good stuff. But no, shout out to the bottom of the lineup. Shout out to David Stearns for bringing those. Even Tyrone Taylor, who's been a solid 4th, 5th outfielder, who's had some clutch hits. Maybe the numbers overall don't look great, but he's had some big hits, some big plays out there in the outfield. No, very, very, very happy, very pleased with the bottom lineup. And like you said, it's something that we've struggled with for years. Especially the last couple of years. That's all we talk about, the bottom of the lineup, the Tomas Nidos, the Luis Guillormes, and these guys.
For definitely way too long.
Dude, and I was somebody that thought Tomas Nido was an adequate backup. Boy, was I wrong. I don't know how the hell we got Luis Torrens. I don't know how the Yankees let him go. I really don't, because I don't know that they have anybody that's doing as well as this guy is doing. And maybe this dude just Queens goes with him, whatever the hell it is. But man, oh man, that's a backup catcher to the point where I love Francisco Alvarez. And I do my little lineup reaction videos. When I see Torrens in the lineup, that's the other guy that doesn't bother me. And there's no knock on Alvarez. You're not losing anything with him in the lineup. And to be honest with you, you might be gaining something right now because he gives you a professional at bat. Alvarez is not quite there yet. Like, I hated Francisco Alvarez batting third today. I don't think he's really ready for that yet. You know what I mean? I don't think he's that kind of hitter. But no, man. Yeah, no, I know we paid $100,000 to the Yankees for Torrens, but it's like, how the heck? How the heck? See, that's highway robbery. That's highway robbery. Shout out to Stearns for that, man.
Yeah. Where now you're getting a lot of Yankee fans. I think I even seen Keith McPherson from WFAN said, like, how did we let Torrens go? Like, with the catchers that they have right now. Look, Torrens has been great, not only at the plate, but I mean, his best asset has been something that the team struggled with all the way up to when they brought him on the team, which was probably around the time they went to the London series. and they struggled throwing runners out at second. They were getting killed for that. And this guy's what, 8 of 11 or 9 of 11? I mean, he has just been awesome behind the plate. And I remember there was a game where he was playing and I guess they wanted Francisco Alvarez to pinch hit. And I said, they're not going to pinch hit for him in this inning because they have the top of the order coming up with speed. And they're going to want this guy to throw him out at throw runners out at second. The time comes and he does exactly that. And then they have to go to Francisco Alvarez in the next inning to come and pitch hit during extra innings. So what he provides on defense alone, hopefully he can help out. And that's what I thought Omar Narvaez was here for. I thought Omar Narvaez was here to do that stuff.
Give me a break.
And that didn't work out. I mean, he's one of the worst catchers I've ever seen, like ever.
Unreal.
And
Unreal.
The fact that we got to replace him with Luis Torrens, hopefully that aura that he has feeds off into Francisco Alvarez, who's still learning. I've seen a lot of better at bats and hitting a lot more for average than he is with the power, but hopefully that continues to grow for him. Jose Lopez Moya is saying, finally, the Mets have very good team chemistry. They are pulling for each other and have gelled together. Even if you have an all-star lineup, team chemistry is important. Absolutely. And it is.
I'm dying to get to this topic, and I didn't want to, and since you brought that up, I'm going to jump, because I was always going to jump to it now, but I've been waiting for you to bring, because I think it coincides with Iglesias and the OMG, and even Torrens, because I think Torrens is also a good clubhouse guy. And maybe you and I never spoke about this, but I did a 4-part blunt thoughts video one morning about this, and I've done shorter versions. I even touched on it on my own thing when I started my channel. I called WFAN and talked about this. I've talked in spaces about this, and it's exactly this. You need chemistry, right? And below that, I don't know if you can see, Carlos Ortiz says, Rosie, I think everyone on this team likes each other. Not so fast. Not so fast. There might be chemistry. Guys might like, I don't want to say guys don't like each other, but this is what I've always said, Aaron. On every team, there's going to be different cliques, right? Different factions, different whatever you want to call it, right? So there's going to be natural cliques. The married guys, they're going to go do their thing with their family. They may hang out together as families with other guys that are married. The single guys are going to do their own thing. The party guys are going to do their own thing. The Latino guys are going to do their thing. The white people, the gringos, whatever you want to call it, going to do that happens on every team. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Who is there besides the leadership, right? Besides Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor, who are doing it now, bringing everybody together, team meetings and all of that stuff, team dinners and all of that stuff. Who's there to break the ice? And I watch a lot of these Spanish podcasts. There's a good one right now called Abriendo el Podcast, right? And they interview a lot of guys that are retired and stuff like that. So you learn about clubhouses and the way they work. And everybody thinks that guys in the clubhouse partying all the time. You'd be surprised how many guys are recluses and they just hang out by themselves in the clubhouse the whole time. And just go out there and do their job. There's guys that's the way that they get ready. And they don't really talk much, you know what I mean? But who's the guy that's going to make that joke that's going to make Jeff McNeil and Francisco Lindor laugh together? Because we know they try to choke each other out, right? And yeah, they talk that out. And they play baseball together. And they'll say, yo, you cover on this. I got this on this. But other than that, they probably never say a word to each other. You don't know if McNeil was saying, this fucking guy offers me a car. I got to wait 2 years for this piece of shit car. You know? You don't know Lindor was like, coño. Yo por estar hablando mierda. I'm joking around and now I got to buy this fucking guy a car. So who's going to make that? You know what I mean? And I feel like that was Iglesias.
Yeah.
Before we even found out about the Oh My God song, and that was part, I guess, from the beginning. If you listen to the story about JD pushing him from even in the minor leagues, like, yo, you got to let the guys hear the song, whatever. But I think it's personality. I think Torrens' personality. You heard it when Vientos was talking about him and how he was in the minors. That opened my eyes right away, and I was like, ooh, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I've wanted. And here it is. The song, some people want to make fun of it, whatever. LOL, man, that. Listen, this is actually organic. Now they've kind of like maybe a little bit the whole after the game performance thing, a little maybe cringeworthy, like let's not push it too much. But hey, have fun with it, whatever. Oh my God, to hell with it. You know what I'm saying? But I think he's been that guy to like just loosen things up.
Yeah, you saw
Like I said, from listening to these podcasts, my bad. Like I heard a guy like Carlos Gomez talk about that. He was like, yo, I was always that guy in the clubhouse that was always keeping everybody, happy together, like breaking the ice with certain things. Like a good team, a good clubhouse needs that. And we finally got that. And now that combined with Nemo finally feeling comfortable in himself to be a leader. And Lindor finally feeling comfortable to take that leadership. And both of them together actually pushing Pete Alonso aside as far as leadership. And I don't know, like, I try to pick up on certain things. And I think it was telling to me that when they had that team meeting, Pete Alonso wasn't there. And I know it's because he had gotten hit by the pitch and he was in the hospital and all of that good stuff. But the fact that they felt like they could call that team meeting without Pete Alonso there tells you all you need to know about the leadership of this team. And Pete Alonso ain't part of it. And that's okay. That's okay. Pete, you lead hitting home runs, and you ain't doing a good job of that right now.
Yeah, look, when I look at Jose Iglesias, I look at that video of them. I don't know if they were at a dinner or it was some type of party that they were at. It might have been for the Amazing Mets Foundation. I don't know what it was. But he does the performance and he calls everybody out. And obviously Pete does his goofy little dance on out there. But then the rest of the players come out. Obviously Lindor comes out. And then I see Jeff McNeil come out too. And I'm like, okay. Right. I see the whole team come out.
I was looking for that, Ant. I was looking for that. I was looking for McNeil. You better believe I was looking for McNeil.
Yeah, it was great to see them come together and, be as one group. And obviously, you talk about clubhouses. The 86 team, they weren't all together. I mean, right? Like Keith was there with the party guys and Strawberry and Doc, but like Gary Carter was the other leader on that team, and he's reserved family man. Like a lot of them looked up to him too.
What do they always say? They all used to go their separate ways and stuff, but they always had that unity inside the clubhouse, right? Yep. When they were there, they were all together. They did have team functions. They had little team dinners and stuff like that they would go to together. But then after that, they always say it. Gary, Darryl says it. Doc said it. I think they both said it, but Darryl definitely said it during his jersey retirement. Gary would go back to the hotel or go home. Like, okay, guys, have a good night. Be safe. And the party guys would go do their thing. You know what I'm saying? But they still did team things. And we know that this team wasn't. They've told us. We're not making it up. They've told us that they've started to do these things more. You know what I'm saying? So, no, man. Absolutely. Again, shout out to Lindor and Nemo for finally taking hold of that leadership. But shout out to my guy Iglesias for being that glue. For being that guy that loosens things up, along with Terrence. I think Terrence has a part to do with that, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Starling Marte, you talked about a little bit.
Who's that?
Injury. Starling Marte. Injury does.
I'm kidding.
The injury.
I forgot about that guy.
It feels like he's been gone for a while, but his injury does not sound good from what Mendoza said in the press conference. Doesn't know when he'll return. You got looking for Pete to kind of carry the team in the second half as well. And it leads to the next thing I want to talk about, the trade deadline coming up, because we're getting close to this trade deadline, only a couple weeks away. And the Mets have some decisions to make. I don't think this is full buy mode. Obviously, it's not going to be full sell mode. I think it's going to be a little bit of each. I wouldn't be shocked if there are some players that we love that may move to get something more sustained for the future in here. So we're going to have to check in on that, as this, develops and as the weeks go on. But, with the Starling Marte injury out, you think do we need to get an outfielder to at the trade deadline? Obviously, we're going to need some bullpen help. And, even with Christian Scott not being able to go 5, which I hope he's able to, as we move on, but he's got an innings limit that we got to watch for. Like, is a starting pitcher in play as well? So I was looking at these things. Obviously, we need relief help. That's the biggest thing we need. But do we need, to get a backup outfielder? Do we need to get another starting pitcher? And what happens with Pete?
Yeah, I think, and I guess it didn't sound too good with Marte today, right? The report didn't sound promising. So I guess it really depends on how that goes. And I was watching a little bit of post game. I think it was the Como who mentioned Drew Gilbert is now back, and maybe that could be an option if you can't get somebody to trade. But I think you got to do your due diligence for sure and see what's out there. But the thing is now with the way this league is set up, everybody's like still in it, so it's hard to know and then see who's going to be available. But I think you do all of that. I think you try to do all of that if you can. You do your due diligence. You check if you can get an outfielder. You definitely check on the bullpen. You even check how you can improve upon the starting pitching. Sorry, excuse me. I'll just say this. I'm just happy. And this could all change. They could come out the break and lose the next all their series coming out, and then we're back to where we were, But I have confidence that they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do that. So I don't know. I think the deadline is gonna be just like I said before. I think they'll do some kind of hybrid. I think I'm gonna trust Stearns that he'll do the right thing. I don't think they're gonna mortgage the future, whatever that is. And listen, when we talk about is Pico Armstrong, are we pining for Pico Armstrong to get Pico Armstrong back? How's Jared Kelenic doing?
Honestly,
Is Jared Kelenic still in the majors?
He's on the Braves. I don't know what his stats are right now. I can, look him up. But
no, don't waste your time. don't waste your time. But you know what I'm saying? So, but that's just what we got to do, man. I listen. Keep playing the way we're playing, so we can try to improve upon this team without mortgage in the future. That's what I'm looking for from the deadline. But like we've said all year, it's incumbent upon these players here now. And like Nemo said, and I think it was Pete that said today, we need to make it easier for them to go shopping by continuing to show them that we mean business. He didn't have the mean business part. Pete's not that savvy. But they need to continue to show that they mean business so that these guys can go out there and make the moves. If they do that, I feel like they'll do that. Yeah, I know you'll trade Pete, Carlos, but I don't think that's going to happen. And maybe it does. Maybe they trade Pete, and I don't think that means that you're necessarily giving up. But I want to know where you're going to get that power from. Everybody's like trade Pete. But who the hell is going to give you that power? You're going to bring up that Clifford dude up here right now? I don't know. Maybe you trade for somebody else that provides a little bit something different to the lineup. I don't know. Maybe you go get a better third baseman and move Vientos to first. We saw how that looked today, and I like Vientos. But is he ready to go to first base full time? The footwork looked a little shaky.
Yeah, he looked better at third.
So
he looks way better at third. And I see Carl saying I'm not letting him leave without getting something back. But the thing is, he's a free agent. And unless he's doing a sign and trade type of situation, we're not going to get a lot for him as much as we think we would. If this was last season or the off season, probably a different situation, a different scenario. But right now, with him being a rental for a couple of months, I don't know how much we're getting for Pete Alonso at the trade deadline. He'll probably get us the most. Him and Sevy would probably give us the most in a trade. But I just don't know how much that is. And on top of that, do you trade guys like him and Quintana? Excuse me. Do you trade guys like him and Quintana? Excuse me. I lost my train of thought now.
I got you. No, and also like Carlos, nobody's gonna hate you. We all have opinions, right? That's your opinion. Where I like not disagree, but it's like, oh, I'm firm on this. Trade Pete Alonso, we will be better moving forward. Like, what does that really mean? Like, of course, we could be better for trading Pete. We could be better by not trading Pete if we make the right moves around Pete. You know what I'm saying? We could be better if we trade Pete and we continue to make the right moves while trading Pete. Yeah, we could be better either way. But like, I don't understand why. And this is where it frustrates me a little bit. When people are so adamant, like Pete is holding this team back. Like Pete is some bad person in the clubhouse. Like Pete is like really like the worst player in baseball. Like, yeah, he's struggling. Yeah, he drives me crazy every time he swings at that slider in the dirt, in the other batter's box. All of that. But come on, let's not act like this dude doesn't hit 40 plus home runs with his eyes closed. And like you can just get that from anywhere. And he's not a horrible first baseman. You want to talk to me about the throwing over the second base? Okay.
Yeah.
But besides that, he's a more than adequate first baseman. So yeah, could we be better by trading Pete? Absolutely. But we could get better by keeping Pete. We could have the same argument, but it's not hate. It's nothing like that. It's your opinion. You're done with Pete. That's fine. That's fine. We're just telling you we're not so sure that they're just gonna trade Pete. This deadline just like that. And you don't just lose him for nothing. At least we get the qualifying offer. So that is something.
Well, that's the thing too. What I was going to mention was something is better than nothing is what Carlos says. But this team trying to, I don't know, trying to make the playoffs, right? Are you going to trade a guy like Pete where you know you're not going to get as much when it comes to prospects or whatever, because that's what everybody wants, right? Prospects. Like, am I going to trade Quintana? Is Quintana worth more trading to get a prospect that we may never see, or that may become one of those junky relievers that we throw in, when times are rough? Or is it better to hold on to him and try to make a push for the playoffs? That's like where the difference comes in for me. Is that, are these guys because listen, I'm not a prospect hugger. A lot of these prospects don't pan out. Most of them don't pan out. It's a very few. And we've seen a lot of that firsthand. Lastings Millage, Fernando Martinez. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Ike
Davis. Right. Pete Crow Armstrong. We watched him get traded. Everyone didn't want to trade him. You mentioned Jared Kelnick, another one. So, like, is it really worth? Look at the guys that we traded for. What was it? Stroman. Are they anywhere right now? I don't think so. So, you look at these guys. It's like, is it worth the trade or not? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
And listen, I'm in the camp of, and trust me, I want sustained success. I want that. I want sustained success. But I'm also always gonna want to go for it.
Yeah.
So
we don't get this many years. We don't get Yankee years, right?
No,
Yankees go to the playoffs almost every year, outside of last year and maybe a couple of the years. Dodgers, they go to the playoffs every year. Braves, like, we go to the playoffs twice a decade. I want more of that.
Before 2015, Sandy Alderson and crew kept telling us about we're preparing for 2016 and beyond, right? 2015 came in a little earlier than they expected. We get to a World Series, and we're thinking, here we go. We got all this young pitching. We got Cespedes, this and that. How did that work out? We get to 2022, 101 games. Oh, my gosh. Okay. You got to make a couple of adjustments here and there. Okay, we can argue about whether the front office did the right thing, whether Billy Epler did the right thing. But how did that work out? So don't talk to me about, put away this year and come back. No, then I wouldn't have watched this team all year. And I'm not built like that. I can't do that. I don't feel that way about this team. I've hit my points in my life where I'm like, this team is driving me crazy. Yeah, after 06, 09, all of that, the Reyes right era, I was out of it for like 2 years, where I would watch the game if I was home. Where I'm not building my whole summer around this team like I do.
That ruined me, man. 2006?
Yeah, listen, it ruined a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I can't just give up yet. That's why I was so frustrated this year so much, this whole year. Like, no, don't talk to me about 25 and beyond, especially not as long as we have these players. So if you want to talk to me about the future and this and that, then don't just talk to me about trading Pete. Start trading all of these guys. I'll get back on that. Because you're gonna tell me that I'll get back on that. How can I trust any of these guys? Yeah, Lindor's high right now. Nemo's high right now. But can I really trust them? They still had the stinky start, and it puts us in a hole, in this hole right here. Like, yeah, this is great what's going on right now. And they're playing great. But their play also got us in this hole that we didn't have to be in. So do I trust any of these guys? Or is it just Pete? I don't know. But I as long as we're close and we have a chance, I always want to go for it. But
Yeah.
that's me.
Yep. And everyone's going to have a differing opinion on that. From, Carlos, he doesn't feel that the team is good enough to make a deep run in this postseason this year. And probably,
Carlos didn't even think we get here, man. 2-3 weeks ago, Carlos didn't even think we get here. Say the truth, Carlos. None of us did, really. But him more than anybody, he was telling me that even this wasn't going to happen. I had to kind of like, come on, Carlos, man. Let's just root for the team. Let's just root for the season. Stop thinking about next year. And he bought it a little bit, but he's still, like, and I'm not here saying, we're going to win a World Series. Or we even, but I think we could win a round. I do. I think anything can happen, man. When we've seen it. You guys spent 2 years telling me about all you got to do is get in the playoffs, Hector. Look at the Braves. Look at this team. Look at that team. And I'm talking about, I don't want to hear that crap. My goal is always to win a division, because if you set your goals at just making the playoffs, you find yourself out of the damn playoffs. And now, because the way I look at it, I always come in like I want to make the playoffs and all that, but also depends on the reality of what the team is, right? So this year, I'm coming in like, give me a freaking wild card. Give me a wild card. And then we'll see what happens.
Hector, before we wrap up here, I want to get a grade for you for this the entire team and the play so far. I went on New York Post and SNY earlier today with Dexter Henry, and I gave the team a B-.
I'm with a celebrity, damn
it. I gave them a B- for this half of the season. I want to know what you think, what your grade is, as well as anyone in the chat want to throw in their grades for this team, just as in total as a whole. We're not going to break down every bit and piece of it, but as a whole, what your grade is for this Mets team right now for the first half.
Yes. No. I got you. I'm thinking. Yeah, I think I'll be probably right there with you. B-, C+, B-. Yeah, just because of the bad start, and it took them a while to figure this out, man. Like I said before, it took them a while to figure things out. It's not like everything was perfect. They talked about, we questioned each other, we challenged each other. You know what? This is kind of a little bit, but with all that, what I wonder, because Pete driving me crazy. As much as I'm defending Pete drives me crazy. So they talk about one of the things that they do now, right, after the meeting and all of that, is when they do their hitters meetings, they talk to each other about what the plan is for the day. And then after the games, they say, okay, did you execute your plan? And I wonder, when they come to Pete after the games and they say, Pete, did you execute your plan? First of all, I wonder what Pete's plan is, but I don't wonder too much. Because Pete's plan every day should be, guys, today I'm going to stay away from that slider. Today I'm going to stay away. So after the game, Pete got to be saying, my bad, guys. I just can't do it. That's one thing that I don't even know how I got it that, but I do wonder, like, what the hell. But no, I think that's a fair grade. I just hope they improve upon it. Let's hope they have an A type of second half.
Yeah,
an A- or whatever. That brings the whole grade up to a B+.
Yeah, Shea Parkinlet says team's a C. Enough for my mom to be optimistic that I can do better, but not enough to be grounded. That's probably the best way to put it. Carlos Ortiz saying A- finish, the start average equals a B. So that we're right. All of us are kind of right around hovering that B, C area right there. Hopefully they can improve upon that in the second half. They're really going to need a stellar second half from this team. Obviously, there's going to be a whole lot of teams jumbled up for this wild card spot, but if the Mets can somehow get themselves in the wild card and make the proper moves at the trade deadline, I do see this team making a playoffs, and I hope that they do. I really like to see playoff baseball back at Citi Field. I got to experience it in 2022, even if it was that one DeGrom start. I was happy to be a part of that, and I want to see more. I can't get enough of playoff baseball, and it only helps the team even further. Hector, man, I can't thank you enough for not only giving me an hour, but hour and 45 minutes, man. This is like almost one of your watch parties.
Yeah, right. I know. It's not like a game. I guess like what they say, time flies when you're having fun. And no, man, thank you, man. Thank you. Like you said, long time coming. This was tons of fun. And I appreciate you. And I'm always available, man. Always available. But no,
obviously, I'll be in contact with you. We're definitely going to do this again for sure. I just want to let everyone know. Make sure to check out Hector at Blunt Thoughts on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribing to his channel. Does all the watch alongs for the games. Oh, you do most of them. You don't do all of them, but you do most of them.
No. Yeah, probably like once a week, depending on the game. I was writing Severino for a while, and that was going good. We were 4-0, and then we had a 4-game losing streak. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? That was Severino. But it's fun. Like, listen, I'm a psycho, man. I talk to myself watching these games. So rather than talk to myself, why not turn this thing on? You know, people can't talk back to me like this, but at least they make the comments and questions, whatever, and it's fun. I have fun. To me, it's just like being at a game. That's how I am at a game. As critical as I am, but these guys, Pete Alonso comes to bat. Let's go, Pete. You know what I'm saying? What's his fucking name? DJ Stewart, who I can't stand right now. Who I would hope that doesn't come back on his roster.
Hey, if at the trade deadline we can get rid of DJ Stewart, Adam Ottavino, and Jake Diekman, I think we've had a successful trade deadline.
Absolutely. But as long as they're on the team, when DJ Stewart comes up, let's go, DJ.
Absolutely, yeah.
Put it up in the Coca-Cola corner, DJ. And then when he doesn't get a hit, I'm like, this freaking guy, get out of here. But that's just what it is. So I love doing these lives. But yeah, man, come join us, man. And I gotta get you in on one of them. I know you like to watch the game, you know. And
you know what the problem is? I have the SNY app. I don't have it on a TV, so I have the SNY app, and I'm behind everybody by about like a minute or two. Yeah, so it's hard to catch up. So you might be cheering ahead of time, and I haven't seen the play yet. But I'll definitely get on one. Maybe if they're on like channel 11 or something, when they do one on regular TV, I'll hop on, because that's usually when the game is you know, we won't be off on our timing. So I'll definitely hop on with you, just like Shea Parking Lot said. Carlos Ramos saying, great show, guys. I hope this is not a one-time thing. It won't be. I mean, me and Carlos have known each other for a long time coming now, and we got to see each other for the first time at the QBC. Hopefully we'll get to see each other at a game, especially the Brave series coming up. And I will say this. If you're a Mets fan, please show out for this series.
Please.
We need you. We need you for this series. The Mets need you for this series. We need to show the Braves that, you know, we're coming for them. And that's all I want to see. We finally got into a wild card spot. Let's go for the Braves now and get that top spot of the wild card, especially with them reeling right now. It'd be a great time to do that. But make sure you check out Hector.
Sure. Because I was upset. I've been upset in our fan base. Like, you know, I was disappointed with the show out for Doc and Daryl. And I kind of understand the younger fan doesn't really have a connection with them. You know what I'm saying? But still, like something like that, like how are people not coming out? And then at the same time, the way the team was playing, you know, the way the offseason went, I understood. And then it got to a point in end of April, beginning of May, where I didn't even want to go to games. And I'm sick. I'd said it before. Dude, I drive Uber, right? So it's for me, sometimes I'm working and it's like, okay, StubHub, just get me in the ballpark. I just need to get in. I don't give a damn about a seat. I'll sit. Trust me. And there was one game I drove by the stadium with plenty of time to go to the game, thinking about it. And I was like, nah, I just can't. Not right. This team makes me sick. So I understand the fan base, but come on. We've turned it around now. Turned it around now. Come out and support this team. If you can, I understand financially and stuff like that. See, me, I don't drink when I go there. I don't eat really. I'll eat sometimes before. Every now and then I'll eat, but I got hookups. But I buy the cheapest seat. Like I said, I just get in the building. Get me in the building, $10, $11, whatever the hell it is. And I know enough people that I can sit down. And even if you don't know anybody, you can sit down. Trust me. I'm sorry, Steve Cohen and everybody else. But you can't sit down. I'm sorry. But no, man. Let you get out of here. I think Shea, you talked about I should do a live for the Subway Series. I did one the last Subway Series. What do you guys want from me, man? No. Actually, we talked about maybe doing a little collab, but it was more of a space thing with a couple of Yankee fans. I gotta touch and see if we're gonna do that. If we don't do that, that'll possibly be that won't be my next live. That's in 2 weeks. Yankees. I'll do one of the Yankees match, probably the Wednesday game, because I hope to go to the Tuesday game and hang out with my guy JJ, with John Jastrzemski at the Tuesday game and go to the bodega pregame and all that good stuff. I've been dying to do that with JJ. I used to go to the bodega back in the days with a couple of bleacher creatures that I knew, and cheer against them. So looking forward to do that again. But I talk too much. Get me out of here.
It's all good, brother, and it's all good. Always good talking to you.
We're about to hit 2 hours. Unbelievable.
I had a lot of fun doing this with you. It'll happen again at Hector Team. Make sure you're following him on X as there as well, and you follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, TikTok at Subway to Shea, at Aunt Rivera 86 as well, and subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube as well.
Aunt. I'm sorry, my bad. Okay, I misread, and you said it too. Shea was actually talking about, I'm trying to get him, Shea.
We're working on it. We're working on it. Don't worry, we're working on it.
Hey,
appreciate
you could come up with me too for a game too. Go ahead, Ann. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
No, we get the whole crowd in. I have a lot of big fun right there.
I think you could do like 10 people, right? Maybe we do one.
I think so.
Like a real watch party.
Definitely have to do something.
People that want to come on or maybe we'll do like a content creator, but that'd get nuts though.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm definitely down for that. Apologies to everybody again. I don't know why this is not working on Twitter. I got to figure that whole situation out, but appreciate everyone for hopping in here on the YouTube. Appreciate you all. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and hope to see you guys. Enjoy the All-Star break. I'm probably not going to watch. This is like my break from baseball. I take a break here.
I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, Aaron. I'm actually going to post that. Like, what am I going to do this week now with myself? I love baseball, bro. Like, I love baseball.
I haven't loved the All-Star game in a long time, though.
No, yeah. Listen, I watched the Home Run Derby. The Home Run Derby is still fun. Just to see these guys, sock these balls out and hit these shots. It's fun. And hopefully Pete wins, and that propels him to have an outrageous second half. That's where I'm at right now. Yeah, he probably didn't belong there and everything, but hopefully he wins, and hopefully that takes a mental health refresh, says Subway to Shea. says Shea parking lot. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. But I'm telling you, Thursday, I'm gonna be going nuts. Like, come on, man, get me a game. But whatever, we'll take it as a mental break. We probably need it. I need it.
We all need it. And for that, this has been Subway to Shea podcast. Anthony Rivera wrapping it up here with my guy Hector. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time on the Subway to Shea podcast.